and a member of the committee, obviously, and he, him pronouns, but I didn't already say that. Alana?
Thanks so much for coming. I'm the co-chair of this committee alongside Taji, and I use she, her pronouns.
And Claudia?
Hi everyone, I'm Claudia. I'm the project assistant for PCCEP, and I use she, her pronouns as well. Thank you for being here.
Michelle?
Yeah, hi, can you guys hear me okay? Okay, awesome. My name is Michelle Anastasia. I'm the business and community liaison for all of the Job Corps centers here in Portland, Oregon. Yeah, I just wanted to sit in on this meeting, hopefully make some networking connections with the people that show up today. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. And Jared?
Hi everyone, Jared Hager. I'm an assistant U.S. attorney with the Department of Justice. I'm here in my role as the monitor of a settlement agreement between the United States and the city of Portland with regards to police use of force. And I use he, him pronouns. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jared. Irene?
Hi, I was born and raised in Portland, but I no longer really live there. But I'm studying urban planning and like policy and politics. And so I'm just sitting in on various like public meetings around the city and like basically just interested to see the work that you guys do. I'm excited. It seems really interesting.
Thank you for coming, and thanks for, I'm excited. Hope we can get some cool stuff to learn about. Nathan?
Hi, I'm Nathan Castle. I go by he, him pronouns. I'm just a member of the community, about to start on the Training Advisory Council with PPV. So I'm trying to get a sense of what's going on in the accountability and oversight arena with all the PCCEP subcommittees.
Awesome, thanks, Nathan, and welcome to the advisory board world. Worked with Sean a lot, so you're in great hands. Trudy? Okay, if you want to introduce yourself, Judy, you go ahead. But we have a packed agenda. Britt, can I want to send it over to you from here? Or do you want me to take the first agenda?
Did you want to start in that order, or do you want to start with Schmotz, Taji?
Yeah, I was thinking we could just start with Schmotz to give, so you want to just give context on that?
Sure, so Sergeant Schmotz, I hope I'm correct in saying that is his role, but we've worked with him before. He was formerly with the Youth Service Division and is now working in sort of a special office to oversee, under the chief's office, to oversee youth-related work. So I don't know when the last time we met with him was. It was a little while ago, a number of months, and he at that point gave us an update on some of the work that he was starting. And so our plan is to have him back to share an update on those projects, and then also for us to share some of our work with Youth Directive and other policy initiatives, as well as other youth-related projects that have been started, such as the training and just other youth-related initiatives. So it's going to be a time for us to talk with him, in many ways to hopefully hold him accountable to the words that and the action items he presented to us in the past. So this is something we had on the agenda for last time. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it, but we are going to reschedule for next meeting. And I think right here, Taji, we just wanted to talk quickly about plans for that meeting or agenda items.
Yeah, I think the plan was to try to have that happen at the same meeting that we have the policy folks from the Inspector General's office come back to us. So that's why I was messaging you and trying to plan ahead. I think what we'll do is not have a May meeting and go into June, but have a work session in May to get the directives together, to get any changes to the directives together. So, but this is the next agenda item. So it's kind of combining the next two things. So we didn't get a chance to have schmatz at the last meeting. And so we want to try to pair up the schmatz presentation with the policy meeting we hope to have with the Inspector General. The Inspector General's policy team came last month and she talked with us about perspective directive we were planning to present to the body. From there, we decided instead of making a recommendation to create a new directive, that we would create some language to revise the existing directive language that relates to youth things. So for example, the use of force section has specific policies on how officers would interact with a young person in an instance of using force, usually meaning like there is less of a chance of using force for a young person than there is with an adult, because it requires a lot more paperwork, but also is like obviously like not good to use force on the young people as well. So yeah, that's as an example. So looking at those, so what we need is the list of the directives that would be impacted by changes that we want to make. So we requested that information from the policy. I can't remember her name. I feel bad for forgetting. I don't know if you remember it, but she said that she would get that information for us. We haven't received it yet, so I think it's time to maybe follow up on that to make sure we can get the directives that we want to be looking at for the May work session, and then planning for them to come to our June one, where then they would have the opportunity. Oh, and Mary Claire's here, so that's great as well. This is her. I believe it was someone who reports to her who spoke with us. I felt bad for forgetting her name. Hi, Mary Claire, welcome.
Hi there.
I don't know how many times you get bombarded right when you enter a room, but we were just talking about your team who came spoken with us last month, and we were discussing following up with her to get the list of directives that we would be impacting with any revisions in a recommendation form. So instead of creating a new directive, we agreed that it would be more beneficial for us to look at the directives relating to youth and try to
Yes.
revise the language. And yeah, so I don't know, maybe she told you that already. Okay.
Yeah, and I think she gave, I'm sorry, I thought I sent you, I think she sent or gave me a list. I'm sorry, I thought I forwarded it to you. They're just ones that, have, what might be of interest.
She might have. I now receive PCCEP emails daily, so
Okay.
Ashley, so I might have lost it in the whirlwind.
Okay, let me see if I can pull it up and I'll send it to you again. There were some, and then, there's a lot of them could have an effect, but, we tried to pick ones that.
We're most, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, don't even need to follow up. Perfect. So we're planning to do a May work session on that, which we could have posted if anyone's interested in joining us for that. It's usually more of a lax opportunity for us to work on these issues, work trying to draft language. So we'd be presenting it to folks in June for discussion and edits, of course, in that public setting before even bringing it to the full body. But we also have the opportunity then, if we had Ashley to come back, to then see her opinion on them and how we, and Mary Claire, of course, his opinion on them to see what they think
So,
of.
there's a lot of them, Taji. So, do you want, I don't think you could do them all at one meeting. So maybe after you see the list, just, prioritize which ones.
Right.
And we also
we might
should
end up
probably,
prioritizing the best.
yeah. And we could look to see which ones are coming up on our radar too, because it would make sense for you guys to be looking at ones that we're about ready to, review or, either because they're scheduled or, there's some other compelling reason.
Okay. Yeah, that would be perfect because when you send the list, I could follow up on the email, or we could hear about which ones are the best, most important. Like if we distill ones that you think that we should prioritize over others based on how it looks in June. And then I think that was pretty much for that topic specifically. It kind of is just like a longer one because policy teams has a lot on their plate right now. So it's of course understandable that it's probably best for us to get it to them and working with them in June on it when they're more available. That does put us in a position to, that also transitions to the final point on our agenda, just running through the items, which is basically to just discuss the sort of future projects and plans for the subcommittee. And also, I think as we have our retreat coming up and bylaw revisions, I think the plan is to try and move myself off from a co-chair position and make sure that there's opportunities for further revisioning of all subcommittees to make sure that we get that each subcommittee is contributing and sharing the workload evenly. So we're trying to make sure that that's something that's happening, the steering committee is discussing, and so it begets us discussing what the youth subcommittee will be doing moving forward. I don't know if Britt or Alana, you had any initial ideas. I know we've talked about potential events to get more young people at the meetings, potential presentations from other young groups. I feel like old person when I say young groups.
You do realize you are still a youth.
Well, a couple more months. No, still a young person. Yeah, I don't know. Britt, do you have a thought?
Yeah, I mean, I think like sort of first order of business, or one way to tackle that question, Taj, which obviously is a big one, and it's something we've tried before. But I think, as Mary Claire said, we're going to have our hands full reviewing these incoming documents, and I think that could take a good number of meetings, and maybe it should if we want to do a thorough job looking through that. And I don't know, I'm hopeful that a lot can come from that, and I like that we're integrating with the current system so that we can make sure that we get some real change there. So I think that can certainly be almost a goal for the next few months or for the summer. I also think that.
Go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I also just think that, when it comes to recruitment / engagement of people generally, like obviously that's something we've tried before. We came up with a few plans. I think every plan we've come up with has in some way been impacted by the pandemic, by COVID-19. Especially because we were planning like events and things, trying to use some of even the community engagement money that we had, but that wasn't really an option or hasn't been an option. Maybe we can finally implement some of those plans in the fall / the winter if things are looking a little more normal, which hopefully they will be. So that's a little longer term. Then of course there's still the question of what we can do in between for engagement, which is a good question. I don't have any easy answers, but we can obviously talk about it more.
Yeah, no, that's a good place to start us. And I think, Michelle, you had some good questions in the comments. I just first want to respond to what you were saying. I think that's a good plan going forward. And I think it's just good for us to try to think, about what's coming up. I don't anticipate that we'll have many opportunities until like August, when I don't even know when, like, I'm trying to think of an opportunity when there isn't like at the end of the summer, but when we'd all like be in Portland, and I don't know if there'll be one exactly, but I'm trying to just think about how we could potentially do outreach or how we could potentially work to get staff to do outreach. And I'm not exactly sure about that. In regards to your question, Michelle, do you have engagement coordinator? We have 2 staff that work for PCCEP. Claudia is one of them here. And then we have Theo Lotta, who's the project director. They're both tasked with engagement to an extent. They do, I believe, social media and outreach on the listserv we send out. And I believe that's the general engagement efforts that exist. And I know we're working to get more or someone. Yeah, we do have an email list that, Claudia put, her email in the comments, so you can get that attached, get connected to that. Yeah, Alana, I don't know if you have any thoughts you wanted to share. I that's all I really had on the, I think we just have to figure out how recruitment could look in the fall, if there's opportunities in schools to somehow get outreach, because I know that's something like NYC also struggles with, but it's a different kind of engagement. And so I think it also will depend on what projects we want to be working on at that time to entice people to be wanting to come. Because I think we could ask anyone to come to anything. But if there's not like a goal, and I think that was what you and I were talking about, Britt, is like, it's hard to just be like, oh, well, just come to our meeting, but then we don't have the projects or initiatives that would be something that they might want to engage on. So it might be good to like wait until we have something for them to like respond to get engaged first, like how we had last summer with the restorative justice recommendation. So a lot is also happening with restorative justice diversion work at the city and at the county, and I'm trying to figure out more ways for, because a lot of the stuff that we put in our recommendation are now being worked on at PPB right now. I don't know. It's like we don't have a system to update us, but I bet Mary Claire, if I was like, could you tell me anything on this? But you could tell me plenty, because I know there are things. I've been talking with Marlon about it. And so it's exciting to see them implementing it. But maybe we could talk about moving forward, maybe in like May or June, we can talk more about what the communication around implementation looks like. And I think that's something that other PCCEP members have also expressed an interest in seeing, expanded communication around recommendations. But with that being said, and considering that was the length of our agenda, I don't think anyone's complaining about an early meeting ending. So we will follow. Yes, Mary Claire.
Before you close, I did find the email and I'm sending it to I'm resending it to you right now, but just for everybody else's benefit, what she did was that she picked a list. There's probably more than a half a dozen here. A good representation of several policy areas that already include specific guidance on officer behavior when interacting with youth in the context of the policy subject. So one is use of force, one is temporary detention and custody of juveniles, peace officer custody on a civil matter like a mental health hold, for example, fingerprinting and photographing juveniles, child abuse investigations, sex assault, and administrative investigations. So that it says the varied subjects that touch on interactions with youth capture the difficulty of streamlining the guidance into one policy. So we're going to give you, that list. Just sent it off to you again, and then you can take a look at those and see which ones might be, of interest for your group to take up. I know that we're going to be looking at, force, and if there's particular areas, that you're interested with the youth, that would be a timely one to, give us some feedback. But any of those, we'll be getting to during the course of the time and stuff. So,
okay.
So that. And I will get you. I know that they are, putting together something for that restorative justice. We have one officer who is really, excited about it and has a proposal. They got to work with the county and the DA too and stuff like that. But so things are happening, so I can get you an update on that too, or have him give you one too. Okay.
Okay, that would be great. We can maybe talk about it at the general body meeting at the end of the month.
Sure.
Sounds great. Okay, thanks, Mary Claire. And thank you, everyone. And have a great evening. We'll be back in touch in May and June about updates on the work that we're doing. So thank you and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all. Tahashi, I did some action item notes. So I'll just follow up with you guys and see if we can combine anything and put it out there for folks to see.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Lydia.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a good evening.
You too.